Gunmen kidnap 4 in Abuja community. Nigerians lament fuel scarcity, transport fare hike amid economic hardship. 1.4 million candidates score below 200 in UTME. On the foreign scene, counting underway in Togo's pivotal parliamentary election. Welcome to Trust News Update. I am Lilian Ogazi. Now to the news in detail. Panic gripped residents of Bumko, a community in Dutse, Bwari area council of the Federal Capital Territory on Monday night as gunmen abducted 4 residents. Eyewitnesses recounted that the armed men, numbering over 30, stormed the area around 11:50 p.m. They targeted the residence of Engineer Patrick, seizing his wife and brother. The kidnappers then split into 2 groups, with one heading towards Kubwa and Bwari and the other towards the hillside in a nearby house. They abducted a pastor and another individual. Despite swift responses from community security personnel and intervention from the FCDA police station and soldiers, the kidnappers escaped with their captives. Residents expressed frustration over the lack of police outposts in the area, emphasizing the need for increased police presence to deter crime. The FCT Police Public Relations Officer SP Josephine Ade was contacted for confirmation, but has not responded at the time of this report. Away from that, as fuel scarcity keeps surfacing, motorists and commuters have expressed concern over the hours spent at queues at filling stations in attempts to buy fuel for their vehicles. Dotu Omishaki gives us more details in this report.
Trust TV findings revealed that only few filling stations in Oshodi along Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, Ikorodu Road and Ikeja area dispense fuel, causing overcrowding. This has resulted in long queues at the few filling stations selling the products. Further investigation showed that commercial vehicles stocked in the queue have also left many commuters. Chris Omosiri, who waited for 3 hours in the queue and was hoping for his turn to get fuel, described the scarcity as unfortunate, lamenting that it is bearing untold hardship on the citizens.
I'm supposed to be in the office right now, but it's 10:27. I've wasted more than 3 hours already on the fuel queue, and a lot of us also are on the queue as well, So it has impacted me very seriously. Since Friday, there were things I could have done I couldn't do. There were places I could have gone to that I couldn't go. Apart from the fact that we don't have fuel, the transport, even if you want to enter transport, there are no buses on the road. So that's the problem. That's the problem. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue like this.
Right now, I'm not doing my official work. I have to queue. Most of our vehicles are on the line right there. So we have a problem with those drivers trying to do this in their box. Supposed to do 1 or 2 things. They are not doing it. So we are here. And if at all we couldn't get fuel from what they are doing, and by the time they are selling, okay, when we get there, most of our motor will be cut off. Then they work for that day. We are not productive for that day. That is what it makes. So then which company will not be productive and we are happy to be paying salaries? They are at lose. And some of these companies are not indigenous companies. And they have, before you know, they will fold up because they cannot be making all their expenses on salaries and they are not productive.
Motorists called on the government to ameliorate the plight of the citizens by refurbishing the moribund refineries.
Away from that, customers are in a frenzy following the Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to prohibit mobile money operators, including fintech firms, from enrolling new customers. This move impacts companies like Opay, PalmPay, Kuda Bank, and MoneyPoint. The directive stems from concerns over money laundering and terrorism financing, prompting an audit of Know Your Customer processes. While the CBN has yet to comment publicly, the directive coincides with a court order obtained by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) to freeze over 1,000 bank accounts linked to illicit foreign exchange transactions. President of the Bank Customer Associations of Nigeria, Uju Obunaka, supports the CBN's action, emphasizing the need for stringent regulations to maintain financial integrity. Meanwhile, the U.S. federal prosecutors are calling for ex-Binance chief Changpeng Zhao to be sent to prison when he appears Tuesday for sentencing on money laundering. Zhao, a Canadian, resigned from his post at the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange platform late last year as part of a deal with U.S. authorities. Now, according to investigation by two Treasury agencies, Binance failed to prevent transaction by movements such as the Islamic State Group, Al-Qaeda, or armed wing of Hamas. Zhao pleaded guilty to violating U.S. anti-money laundering laws, and Binance agreed in February to pay 4.3 billion naira to settle charges. Prosecutors want a judge to make Zhao pay a $50 million fine and spend 3 years behind bars for a crime that typically results in probation. The Nigerian Correctional Service said it has so far recaptured 16 out of the 119 inmates who escaped from the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center in Niger State last week. The spokesperson for the NCOS, Abubakar Umar, disclosed this on Monday. The spokesperson remains silent on why the Nigerian Correctional Service is yet to publish the images and other information on the remaining 103 fleeing inmates. A relentless downpour on Wednesday night wreaked havoc on the Suleja Custodial Center, resulting in extensive damage to the facility and escape of 119 inmates. In the recently released result of the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Exam, it was revealed that 1.8 million candidates. It was revealed rather that out of 1.8 million candidates, a staggering 1.4 million failed to score 200 out of 400 ranks. This represents 78% of the candidates whose results were released by JAMB. The report.
Among those who took the examination, 8,401 candidates scored 300 and above, 77,070 scored 250 and above, and 439,974 scored 200 and above. The top scorers were not named, as JAMB considered the UTME a ranking examination and admission criteria varies across institutions. However, the result of 64,624 candidates were withheld pending investigation. Additionally, 80,810 candidates were absent out of the 1,989,664 who registered for the examination. JAMB conducts examination in 9 foreign centers to promote Nigeria's institution internationally and uphold academic traditions.
Meanwhile, the management of the University of Benin, UNIBEN, has suspended the Student Union government of the institution indefinitely. In a letter to the university's community made available on Tuesday in Benin, the university's registrar Ademola Babalola announced the measure on the union. According to the letter, after due consideration of the report by the management, the Vice-Chancellor has approved the suspension of the university's student union. The suspension was in connection with the incident at the university's senior staff club on April 12th. In the incident, the student union was said to have disrupted an interactive session by staff of the university with the Edo State governorship candidate of Labour Party, Olumide Akpata. And in Rivers, the People's Democratic Party has suspended Awaji Inomek Abiante PDP Rivers for anti-party activities. This is contained in a statement signed by the caretaker committee chairman of his ward, Ngotown Andoni, Mr. D.K. Barra, and the secretary, Mr. Dokubo Jackson, on Monday in Port Harcourt. According to the statement, Honorable Awaji Inomek Abiante is hereby suspended from the party for not only promoting factions at the ward level, but also belonging to a group under the guise of the party, which action is in breach of Section 58 LJ of the party's constitution. This is news updates on Trust TV. Coming up, youths take to menial jobs at construction site to survive hardship. More news when we return. Do stay. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is news updates coming to you from Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Gunmen kidnap 4 in Abuja community. Nigerians lament fuel scarcity, transport fares hike amid economic hardship. Now moving on to health matters, where health experts have again reiterated the need to address chronic kidney disease through early detection, intervention and preventive measures as it has become more prevalent among young people. The call came on the heels of the introduction of 60 dialysis machines at a private medical center in the nation's capital, Abuja. The machines, experts say, will help increase the number of available machines and reduce downtime and machine breakdown recorded at public hospitals for patients seeking renal disease management through dialysis and kidney transplant procedures. Aisha Salihu reports.
End-stage renal disease, although a global disease, is however more burdensome in low and middle-income countries. According to data, it accounts for 8% of all medical admissions and 42% of renal admissions in Nigeria. Experts in the sector attribute the leading causes of kidney disease to high blood pressure, diabetes, obstructive uropathy, HIV, and kidney inflammation from a variety of infections. ESRD may be irreversible, but experts admit with early detection and routine medical checks, it can be managed.
And there are some things that are peculiar about kidney disease in Nigeria. One, it affects the younger people who are in their economically productive age group, between the age of 30 and 50. Unlike in the developed countries where it is a disease of the elderly. Currently, dialysis one session costs between 50,000 and 70,000, depending on where you are doing it. How many of us can afford that? And you need to do it 3 times a week. Kidney transplantation costs between 18 million and 23 million.
Part of what I've started to do myself is to sponsor a motion that all FMCs in Nigeria must be of high standard. We should be able to have a semblance of facilities that we have in India or in UK or elsewhere. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
The government has looked into this situation and it has noticed that there is a heightened rise of number of kidney diseases all around the country. So processes are on the way. There are discussions as to how to leverage against what is actually existing now and then how to improve on what's available to improve on the access of care.
While patients decry the cost of managing the disease, experts are advocating partnerships with all health institutions to clamp down on the disease burden.
You see how the way they subsidize HIV drugs and all, yes, I think they should do the same thing too for both dialysis patients and people that have done transplants, because if you do your transplant, the drugs are really expensive and sometimes you save up money, 23 million naira to do your transplants. At the end, you still live on drugs till you die, and the drugs are not cheap.
What government can do is to shore up and support dialysis patients and say, okay, look, for each dialysis, rather than pay 50,000 naira, you pay 30,000 or 20,000 naira. That is the only way to help in the interim. Ultimately, we produce our own consumables, we do our own surgeries, we'll hopefully produce even our own dialysis machines, and then we're free and go.
With the growing trend of kidney disease severity moving to 8th position in 2019, ahead of malaria and HIV, with projections that by the year 2040, it will become the leading cause of death all over the world. Stakeholders say more needs to be done to arrest it. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from that, Youths in Imo State are now taking to manual jobs at various construction sites in the state to survive the biting economy occasioned by rising inflation. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise reports that across the length and breadth of the state, building sites are dotted with youth who are taking to Brick Lane to put food on the table. The report.
For the youths at this construction site, there are no better option for them than what they are doing here in order to feed. Though they are popularly known and called bricklayers, but they address themselves as building engineers. One of them, Emmanuel Dike, said they have built many houses from scratch to finish in the Owerri metropolis.
We used to pack the cement and chalk the block while working.
So what is your job called? What is it called?
It's called building engineer.
Okay, you are a building engineer. Where did you learn this from, and how long did you stay to learn this work?
I learned this work from Abuja State, where my maternal home. From one Sir Onyema. So that is my boss, and he taught me the work good and perfect. Right. So I use it to feed my family and to take care of my needs.
With no formal education nor certification, they are good at what they do. Narrating their journey to how they became so skilled in building, they said the desire to be independent pushed them into learning the vocation from a seasoned builder who taught them the rudiments.
The nature of my job is building engineer. Why I decided to do it is for me to see something to cope up with. So for me not to rely on anybody to feed on. Like I made a lot of money there. By God's grace, I made a lot of money.
While they regret that government of the day has not been able to provide them jobs that can help take care of their needs and reduce crime, they call on youths who are still idle to get skilled that will get them out of idleness.
Due to the situation of the country, and then things are increasing every day, so we are now taking per day work 10,000 naira, and while labor take 5,000 or 4,500. You should try and look for something to hold. An occupation is good, because why I'm working like this, I use this as a help to myself to feed my family and to take care of my mom.
My advice for them is that, in this country, hardship, they have to go and find something doing, because tomorrow, if they are stealing, the stealing may not favor them. This hunger is everywhere, so that you can see something to cope up with. So you have to find something doing. Don't stay idle.
At a time like this, when most Nigerians are looking out for alternative means of survival amidst the economic hardship, these youths are urging their counterparts across the nation to acquire skills that will put food on their table other than taking to crime. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says the rehabilitation of the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemicals Company, KRPC, will be completed by the end of 2024, after years of being shut down due to lack of maintenance. The Managing Director of KRPC, Mustapha Sugungung, disclosed this on Monday during an oversight visit to the refinery by members of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Petroleum Downstream led by Senator Ifeanyi Ubah. He explained that a 110,000 barrel per day refinery will start producing at 60% capacity by the end of the year, while full production will take place subsequently. The KRPC boss explained that the rehabilitation work, which is presently at 40%, is expected to be completed within the stipulated time frame. And on the foreign scene, counting is currently underway in Togo following its pivotal parliamentary elections held peacefully on April 29th with 4.2 million registered voters. The Electoral Commission has promised to release preliminary results trends as they emerge. The election saw the filling of 113 parliamentary seats and for the first time 179 senatorial positions. This election follows a controversial constitutional reform aimed at eliminating presidential elections and granting lawmakers the authority to select the country's leader. In Lomé, an opposition stronghold, many young Togolese like Beji are hopeful for change, especially after witnessing recent constitutional amendments. However, opposition leader Jean-Pierre Kabir expressed concerns about the tense atmosphere surrounding the elections, particularly due to changes in the constitution during the electoral process. Over 14,200 polling units operated nationwide under tight security with borders sealed and 12,000 gendarmes and police officers deployed. Observers' missions, including those from the African Union, were authorized to monitor the vote, although volunteer observers from the Catholic Church in Togo were not permitted to participate. Still on the foreign scene, the gunman has killed 6 persons in a mosque in western Afghanistan. Interior Ministry spokesman Abdul Ghani said that on Monday. Around 9 p.m., an unknown armed person shot at civilian worshippers in a mosque in Herat province, Guzara district. Reports gave the same death toll for the attack, which took place in the district just south of the provincial capital of Herat city. The mosque belonged to Afghanistan Minority Shiite Committee. The Taliban government has pledged to protect religious and ethnic minorities since returning to power in August 2021. But rights monitors say they've done little to make good of that promise. Now in the world of sports, the board of Nigerian Football Federation on Monday approved the recommendation of its Technical and Development Committee to appoint former ace winger Finidi George as head coach of the senior men national football team, Super Eagles. George, who spent 20 months as assistant to Jose Santos Peseiro before the Portuguese voluntarily left the post following the accomplishments of African Cup of Nations run-out position at Côte d'Ivoire 2023, took charge of the squad in interim capacity during 2 friendly matches in Morocco last month. His squad edged Ghana 2-0 in the first match, ending an 18-year wingless streak against the Black Stars, but lost 0-2 to Mali in the second game. George's immediate task will be to guide the Super Eagles to victory in 2 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against South Africa and Benin Republic in Uyo and Abidjan respectively in a little over 5 weeks. Still in sports, LeBron James' Los Angeles Lakers were knocked out of the NBA playoffs as the Denver Nuggets completed a 4-1 series win in the Western Conference in the 5th game of the best-of-7 series defending champions. The Nuggets won a tense encounter, 106-108. Jamal Murray scored 32 points, including the winner with just 3.6 seconds left when the scores were tied. James' 30 points and 11 assists were in vain for the Lakers. The NBA's all-time leading point scorer was chasing his 5th title and his first with the Lakers since 2020. With that, we've come to the end of news updates. Do have to follow us on all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Lilian Ogazi. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.